Well, good morning and welcome to Elevenses. It's show number 173. It's Sunday, the 19th of September. It's a bit of a gloomy morning outside. It was raining in Oxford just a few minutes ago because I've just come back from there. And I'm a little bit under the weather this morning due to a late night party last night. So bear with me if I'm a bit incoherent this morning. Got plenty for you in the show today, though. Oh, it says better biking tip. No, that's the wrong one. Police car. Police are asking for witnesses after a car apparently has deliberately hit a motorcycle on London's North Circular Road. If you have a GB plate on a car or bike, the bad news is that's out and a UK plate is in. The iPhone, new launch of the iPhone 13. Rather alarmingly shown on a motorcycle or a motorbike of some sort. I'll explain why in a minute. Husqvarna have launched a new E-Pilen. A Canadian startup has launched a bike they call the Beachman 64. Energica, the American e-bike manufacturer, sold a 70% stake to a financial technology firm. And the first ever Kickdown Festival is scheduled for January on the Coromandel Peninsula in New Zealand. And then today's talking point will actually be think before spending cash on bike upgrades. So settle yourselves down for the next 30 minutes or so while I take you through today's show. If you've got anything to say, comments, questions, any feedback, I'm more than welcome to answer those. I'm always happy to get information back from you guys as to how you're enjoying the show. So do drop me a line through the comment stream. Christine has said good morning. Hello, Christine. Nice to see you here. Thanks for looking in. So, right, okay. First thing, just a quick reminder, if you haven't seen it already, the Science of Being Seen presentation is on again. It's going to be on the 6th of October. It'll be at 8 o'clock. It'll last about 40 minutes or so. And the basically Science of Being Seen is the original presentation I created, which has been shown by many biker down courses across the country. So if you're interested in that, do pop along. As I say, it's happening on Wednesday, 6th of October at 8 o'clock. Right, okay, so on with the news. Police are appealing for witnesses and dashcam footage after a car is alleged to have been alleged to hit a motorcycle deliberately. Now, the incident occurred around 6:30 on Tuesday, September the 14th. And the car thought to be a silver Ford Fiesta, and it hit the motorcycle from behind on the southbound carriageway, the A406 North Circular, at the Redbridge roundabout. The car drove off. The motorcycle rider, a 20-year-old man, was taken to hospital. Although he needed treatment, his condition said not to be life-threatening. And PC Martin Bly from the Roads and Transport Police in command says, our initial investigation suggests the car was being driven erratically and then appeared to strike the motorcycle deliberately. And I'd ask anyone who was in the area and saw the incident or recorded the events leading up to the collision on dashcam footage to contact police immediately. And you may remember last week I actually covered an incident in Manchester where a collision between a motorcycle and a car is actually being treated as a murder. We're incredibly vulnerable on two wheels, and we really need to be constantly on the alert for aggressively driven vehicles. And I'm sorry to have to say it, motorcyclists, we also need to rein in our own behaviour at times, because if we're aggressive, it can trigger an aggressive response. I saw some fairly horribly ridden motorcycles over the last couple of days. Right, so if you've swapped your EU number plate for a GB one following Brexit, I have a bit of bad news for you. Less than 9 months after Transport Secretary Grant Shapps unveiled the new GB plate design, which has the letters GB under a flag of the Union Jack, the government's changing the rules again. From the 28th of September, every car and bike leaving for the continent must now display a UK plate. Government sources said the change is being made to be inclusive of Northern Ireland and to promote the whole of the UK abroad. I suspect most of us will think it's an unnecessary change and one that causes unnecessary expense. It was only on the 31st of January this year that the first anniversary of Brexit that Mr. Shapps tweeted, Brits will be able to drive on the continent without GB stickers thanks to a new registration plate with the Union flag and the GB. So scrub that and either buy yourself a new plate or get a UK sticker to cover up the GB sign on the plate you bought just a few months back. So just to clarify, the rules are from 28th of September, you'll need to display either a UK sticker on the rear of the vehicle if your car has any of the following: a GB identifier with the Union flag, also known as a Union Jack, the Euro symbol, a national flag for England, Scotland or Wales, or only numbers and letters and no flag or identifier. You may recall just a few days ago that Apple reported that their iPhone could be damaged by use on a motorcycle. They actually released a technical bulletin about this, and the bulletin basically was said to avoid using iPhones on handlebar mounts because the vibrations from motorcycle engines can cause the optical image stabilization and the closed loop autofocus systems to malfunction, and those have been fitted on the last few iterations of the iPhone. Not surprisingly, of course, that story was widely reported in both technology and biking presses. So imagine my surprise when I discovered that the big reveal of the iPhone 13 took place on Tuesday. And guess what it showed the phone mounted on? Yes, you guessed right, it was actually on a scooter. And the promotional video showed the latest version of the wallet emptying phone mounted on the bars of a delivery driver's bike. Now, okay, the Apple warning was specifically against using phones on high power or high volume motorcycles. And the bike in the video does look like a low powered and small capacity bike, but nevertheless, it's an interesting choice by Apple because it's only just literally a few days since they tacitly admitted that motorcycles could damage their phones. They recommended only using them on small bikes, using a vibration damping mount, and only for limited periods. They said that riders should avoid prolonged use of the phone to avoid the risk of damage. So I would have thought that the delivery driver would probably be making prolonged use of the phone. So hey ho, who knows? I would. It just mind blowing sometimes. The seems two halves of Apple aren't talking to each other. Right, Jeff tells me that I'm a bit late with the GB UK plate information. It's been known for some time. Yes, it has been known some time, Jeff, but as I say, it's now happening in just over a week's time, so it seems like a reasonable time to mention it. Yeah. Okay, so take a gander at this. It's the, if I can get the picture to change. Hang on a minute. There we go. That's got the picture up. Let's have a look at it. It's the E-Pilen from the Swedish bike brand Husqvarna, who of course are now part of the KTM group. And although the bike has been known about for a while, it's now had the wraps taken off it at the Munich Motorcycle Show. So that's there in the flesh. In effect, the bike is a SOBS, or possibly the other one, the E-Pilen, but basically with an electric motor in place of the petrol engine, and it comes with a removable battery. It's another bike basically aimed at the commuter market, since it's got a 125 equivalent 10.7 horsepower motor and a range of around about 100 kilometers, which is 60 miles just about. The swappable battery technology is no big surprise because KTM are part of the partnership with Piaggio, Honda and Yamaha to develop these removable batteries. The SMIDSY and E-Pilen models basically means black and white, are said to be progressive, smart, dynamic and purely design oriented. Personally, I think the thing is just plain ugly, but that's my opinion. You may think different. You can also make up your mind on that particular machine as well. that is the Beachman 64, which appears to be carrying a surfboard or something attached to it. It's set to be manufactured by a Toronto-based startup. It's been crowdfunded. If it does go into production, a pledge of 3,250 Canadian dollars, around 1,850 pounds at the moment, will have one delivered to your Canadian front door. Now, the bike actually has a throttle-activated rear hub motor. It's hard limited to 500 watts in order to comply with Canadian e-bike regulations. Top speed is therefore limited to 32 kph or 20 miles an hour, and the battery is removable. It's a 40 amp hour lithium ion battery, and it's said to give the bike a range of about 90k. Which is again just under 60 miles, 56 miles roughly speaking. If you do run out of juice, the machine can, in theory at least, be pedalled. There are actually bicycle pedals attached to it. Now, you can't really see them very clearly in that photo, but I very much doubt you'll get anywhere, certainly not up a hill, because the bike weighs in at no less than 220 pounds or 100 kilograms, which is fairly astonishing for something that's actually basically a slightly quicker than normal electric bike. What else has been going on? Well, over in the US, the founders of the Energica brand have sold 70% of the company to Ideanomics, which is a financial technology firm that's largely focused on developing promising electric vehicle technologies. Now, back in March 2021, Energica actually announced that they'd secured funding from Ideanomics by selling 20% of the company. They reported almost doubling their sales in 2020, and they said they'd accepted the largest ever order for their bikes in the first half of 2021, but no specific numbers were mentioned, so no idea whether that's a 1 or to 2 or 1,000 to 2,000 or anything. Could be anything. So now basically they've handed over the majority share to Ideanomics. Now, if you happen to be anywhere near New Zealand, you could put this one in your date book of activities. It's the Kickdown Festival. It's happening on the 20th to the 23rd of January 2022, and it's happening at Wangaratta. That's at the base of the stunning Coromandel Peninsula on the North Island, which I was lucky enough to actually ride around a couple of times. Got some friends up there, which we managed to stay with whilst we were out there on the Shiny Side Up event. Event organizer Noddy Watts says there is something for everyone, from motorcycle enthusiasts to Coromandel holiday makers. Attend for the motorcycle culture, the concert, or both. He says it's a summer festival you won't want to miss. There'll be an opportunity to ride the loop with up to 2,000 others, and Watts was keen to point out that there are no prizes for coming first on the mass ride. He says it's all about enjoying the journey and showing a love of British, American and European motorbikes. I do notice one manufacturer specifically absent there. Locals can rest assured we have a comprehensive traffic management plan and a range of professionals to ensure we keep riders and spectators safe, and disruption to regular traffic is kept to a minimum. It's certainly going to be interesting to have 2,000 bikes going around the Coromandel, because the road isn't particularly wide. It's also well known to be fairly dangerous. There are some very unexpected corners on it. The 3-day festival will close with a concert on the Saturday evening, which is being held at Joe's Farm, and it will feature the very best of New Zealand rock. She had Devilskin and Hello Sailor, no less, as well as Kiwi favourites Stella, the Jordan Luck Band and Good Shirt. I shall have to go and look those up now on YouTube or Spotify or something. Tickets are on sale from Wednesday the 22nd of September, and you can pre-register now. There'll be a 3-night campground set up for registered motorbike entrants who can park next to their tents. And there'll also be camping available to concert goers who want to soak up the festival atmosphere. So if you want to go to that, go over to www.kickdown.co.nz and pre-register there. And the festival is being likened by the organisers to a bite-sized homegrown version of South Dakota's famous Sturgis Rally, but hopefully without the COVID. Right, so on to the final bit of today's show, where I cover a sort of a better biking topic for discussion. You may recall that I featured a collision between two bikes just the other show, and the rider who survived the crash admitted that he'd been following the lead bike just 1.5 meters behind. So my guess was that possibly the rider had actually been escorting a less experienced rider. And that's a question that actually crops up fairly often. Where do you ride? Do you ride ahead? Do you ride behind? Well, as a motorcycle instructor, I kind of quite often had one bike ahead of me and up to 5 bikes behind me on one memorable occasion working for CSM, who no longer operate, thankfully. So I do have experience of working with both approaches simultaneously, and it's experience that determines what I do on my advanced courses, and for reasons that I'm about to explain, I believe that the best position to deal with or to escort a less experienced rider is to ride behind them. I say the issue here really is that once you are leading a rider, you are basically telling them what to do. Some people will say this is a good thing because the rider behind can actually copy the rider ahead, but it means they're also relying on the rider ahead of them for decision making. Now, that often causes problems, I find, with couples who ride together, with one who rides in front habitually and the other one who habitually follows. The rider behind often says, I don't like leading. And so the other one says, okay, I'll lead. But the problem is they're not really picking up their own experience. What they're doing is actually relying on the rider ahead to make those decisions. And so if you're behind, the rider ahead actually has to make their own decisions for them. The second thing is, if you're in a training position, if you're behind the person you're riding with, you can see ahead of them. You can see what they're about to do. Now, lots of people are now using intercoms. Now, I would sort of be cautious about suggesting that anybody who isn't a trained instructor tries to coach another rider ahead of them. But at least if you do have an intercom and you're behind them, you can see what's happening in front and you can offer a warning. Whereas if they're behind you, you've got to watch what's happening in your mirrors and see where they are, as well as looking ahead of you. It's rather more difficult. Obviously, when you're trailing somebody, you still have to check your mirrors, but you're not trying to see what the rider behind you is doing because they're ahead of you. So you're actually in a better position to defend is possibly the wrong word, but you can use your own bike to sort of shield the less experienced rider ahead. But if you're careful, what you don't want to be doing is riding 1.5 meters behind them while you're doing that. So the my suggestion is always follow. Sensible distance, yes, absolutely. If you're following an inexperienced rider, pretty much anything can happen and will do. But again, if you are riding with somebody inexperienced, you should be expecting to do something a little bit odd. It could be anything from stall pulling away from a junction or turn left when signaling right. It happens. But if it's a car behind the bike, then that driver is far more likely to be caught completely by surprise and possibly do something aggressive to get past. So, by following, I think we can actually keep an eye on riders and give them that little bit more help. If we need to let a vehicle through, well, you can drop back, you can open up the gap, let the car through, so it can pass both bikes one after the other, rather than trying to squeeze past both machines simultaneously. But as I say, I think the most important bit is that you're not setting the rules, as it were, for the rider ahead of you. And the pace is also important. Once the rider is in front, they set their pace at the pace they're comfortable at. If you lead, you're setting the pace, and they may try to keep up, and that may put them out of their comfort zone. It's a well-known crash on group rides when somebody who is not quite as quick as the rider in front doesn't want to hold the group up and then overrides, and things go badly wrong. People worry about getting lost, but basically, does it really matter if somebody takes the wrong turn? You can always adjust the route, you can always change it up. So there are a lot of reasons I would say, if you're going to ride with somebody else, don't lead, but let them go first. And as I say, don't follow too close, or you'll fixate on the bike in front, and if they do something a bit daft, you will end up being caught out by it. So yes, all right. Occasionally, there are times that you might want to demonstrate a particular technique, and then possibly leading is a good way of doing that. Or maybe you want to give them a bit of a commentary, although I'm always a bit dubious about that. It's quite demanding to give a commentary ride if you're not used to it. So right, okay, that's basically my suggestion on that one, to avoid an incident like I reported on the other week. So that's it. Just a quick disclaimer on that. Of course, you ride at your own risk and are responsible for your own safety and survival skills. Cannot accept any liability incurred in connection with what I've just talked about. So that's it today. Pretty much a short one. As I say, I'm a little bit tired after last night, so I will sign off at this point, and I will be back on Wednesday, hopefully a little bit more awake. So for now, from Kevin Williams and ELEVENSES, that's it for today. Enjoy your riding out there if you are out there today, and stay safe.